What is up, guys? AA Lightning here, back with another video. It's not a good video though today. Gojo fans, it's a day to be it's a day to be scared. It truly is, because what happened in chapter 225. Now, with this being said, spoilers ahead. I'm sure you guys can tell by the title itself that it's going to be a spoiler. I will not include any events of the chapter in the title, so you don't get spoiled, but spoilers ahead, obviously. Gojo might have died. He just got hit with his neck. If his neck gets clean chopped off by the slice, he's dead. If it isn't, he's alive, because reverse curse technique stems from the head. So if you get your head chopped off, you're dead. It's that simple. Your head's gone, you're dead. You can't heal. You cannot use RCT if your head is gone. So Gojo might be dead. And this is bringing so much more intensity as we enter the final arc. But I'm also kind of disappointed with the fight. Like, the fight's been great, but the last chapter was basically just them throwing hands, so it wasn't like anything intense necessarily. But Sukuna, I'm a Gojo fan, obviously. But Sukuna his domain was far superior. He seems far smarter than Gojo based on the technique, because I thought Gojo's 6 eyes could like sense like pretty much everything. Like, it could see everything. I'm pretty sure it can see curse techniques, but I thought it could also see like domain expansions. And the fact that he loses this domain battle due to sort of carelessness almost, because the weaker of his domains outside Sukuna's domain. Now, he might have not known this, but man, oh man, this is a tough day for Gojo fans. He got his neck sliced off. He might be dead. I don't think he's dead, if I'm going to be honest. I think that he's probably going to survive, but I think one of 3 things are going to happen here. So the first thing that's going to happen is he's fine and the fight continues, but even if the fight continues, I think there's more than an 80% chance Gojo dies at the end of this fight. Only because the plot just favors Sukuna surviving. Number 2, and what I kind of hope that happens, is Gojo survives, Kashima comes in and uses his curse technique nobody even thought about. So based on this chapter, there are a couple of things we learned. Is Yuta, who has the most cursed energy in the series, well, not anymore, said that Sukuna has twice as much as cursed energy as him. So even like one domain expansion should really do nothing to his stamina. Now, obviously, he doesn't have infinite cursed energy like Gojo, but if you have twice as much as the person with the most, then you definitely, and actually, well, he obviously has way more cursed energy than Gojo. It's just that the 6 size just makes it so that he uses it so efficiently. But Kashima also states that Sukuna is also one of the most efficient cursed energy users. So not only does he has twice as much as the number 1, he's not the number 1 obviously, but he also uses it insanely efficiently. And based on that domain battle, I actually don't know if Gojo has a win condition. So my earlier theory was that the only way Gojo wins the fight is if he wins the domain battle, but he loses the domain battle. Now, I'm assuming Sukuna can expand his domain multiple times, just like Gojo. Gojo's probably not going to expand his domain again, unless he somehow on the fly learns how to create an open barrier domain expansion to restart this. The same thing's going to happen. This thing's going to get crushed and it's going to get... So I think either one, the fight continues and Sukuna will still win, kill Gojo. There's a small probability that they both die in the fight, and then Kenjaku and that whatever creature is the final villain. But I think either Gojo dies or they both die. My second theory is Gojo's head gets sliced off, the gang comes to fight Sukuna, and Yuji and Sukuna will have their final showdown. Which would make a little more sense for the plot's sake. But I really don't want that to happen. I would really want, because this fight kind of, like, if it ends here, like a series of build up for like this, I don't know, what, like 220 plus chapters for this fight, and it was good, But the second Sukuna took it seriously, it was over. And it almost feels like he's like Yorozu at it. I think that's what I'm getting from the fight. I mean, obviously he was, at the first he kind of had an advantage, Gojo, when it came to Sukuna. Now, obviously Sukuna didn't go all out against Yorozu using his domain expansion, but he did use the wheel, which he has not used against Gojo. So, like, he hasn't used so much of his techniques yet. Gojo has already pulled out a 200% purple, has practically pulled out every ability he's had, threw down his strongest domain expansion, got outclassed on that domain expansion. His 200% purple got tanked like it was nothing. And pretty much all, like, red, blue, infinity, they're all... Red and blue are practically useless against Sukuna. And infinity can be breached with domain amplification. And now that we know his domain expansion is stronger, and the angel said this in the chapter, that if Sukuna finds another way to deal with Gojo's infinity, other than using domain amplification, it's reps. But now that his domain expansion is also stronger, we also know, like, he's got so much flowing in his favor. So there's one thing I'm kind of surprised about, and it's Gojo's teleport ability. Now if this ability is expanded further upon, and I think this is where the author does a really bad job, because I think the author realizes that this ability is broken, because if Gojo can teleport unconditionally, he could have just teleported right out of that domain expansion. He would have, like, if a 6-size user, he's supposed to, Kijaku says he's basically like a supercomputer in his brain. If his teleportation works like that, he would have just out of the domain expansion. Now, it's also not a closed barrier, so it would have made sense for him to do that. Now, this ability better have, like, some very low conditions if Gojo wants to win, because that's really the only thing he's got going for him, his teleportation ability, which is another defensive ability. So he really doesn't have the offensive firepower to take out Sukuna. So the only way is, like, for example, like, characters like Yuki, who had some crazy... Gojo obviously has crazy offensive power with purple, but his 200 purple did nothing. And one slash from Sukuna's cleave is... It's literally over. Like, this might be the most difficult chapter to take in for a Gojo fan, because it's the realization that he's going to lose this battle. So, like I said, either Kashima comes and saves him with the curse technique, Sukuna and Gojo both die, or Sukuna beats... Or honestly, another theory I had is Gojo runs it back with the domain expansion. Next chapter, he just says domain expansion, unlimited void, and this time it's... I don't know. But chapter 225, it was good, but there's a lot that needs to be explained, because there's a lot of techniques, especially the teleportation one, that I feel like it should have never been incorporated if Gege felt like it would be broken. And it feels a little bit odd that he doesn't use it in a situation where he's almost guaranteed to lose if he doesn't open, like, get out of there, and he gets his next slice straight off. Now, I doubt Gojo is dead, if I'm gonna be honest. I would see it very, like, once again, the fight would be very anticlimactic if he died. Now, that domain expansion final showdown was great, but for him to go out like that without like, it would kind of defeat the whole purpose of the 10 Shadows technique. I feel like the whole reason Sukuna, it would make sense if he defeated Gojo with the 10 Shadows technique, or if they both defeated each other. And that's what, like, I would be okay with that ending. But the fact that he just pops a domain and kills Gojo is kind of rough. I hope he's not dead. If he is, that's going to be a tough, but I'm hyped for what's to come. Let me know in the comment section if you think Gojo has died for this domain expansion. You're praying out here. Come on, man. Gojo, you gotta tighten up here. Use your teleportation ability. But he really just doesn't have the offensive firepower to win this fight.